Continuing Kelley Blue Book's coverage of the New York Auto Show, we're with Franz von Holzhausen. Did I say that right?
Absolutely, nice to see you.
Hey, okay, so we're both literally and figuratively immersed in Nagare.
Absolutely, yeah.
What is Nagare, both in terms of design and how it extends to the vehicle we're standing in front of?
Well, Nagare is our ongoing pursuit of our new design language, and Nagare means flow in the Japanese language. And you know, as I've expressed before, Nagare is just one of 150 plus different ways to describe flow in the Japanese language. So this is the fifth of one of those 150 different ways or concepts that we're showing to describe what flow means to us. And you know, we've taken a long, hard look at the Mazda products, and we've realized that Zoom Zoom really means this emotion, and that our cars need to look like they're in motion. And so looking to nature as an inspiration, we find nature is always in motion. And that's what we were trying to recapture in all of our concepts.
You've introduced several concepts with this Nagare theme, but this, the Furai, seems like obviously the most radical of those concepts. Talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, this is the Furai. It's what we call the first of the functional series of Nagare. So we're taking form and function, whereas in the past it was simply seen as an aesthetic surface language. Now we've got a very functionally derived aesthetic surface language. So it's functional Nagare, and we thought, what better environment to do functional Nagare than in a motorsports type arena where it's all about function. You know, function first, form comes second. It's really challenging to find beautiful race cars because their number one goal is to get across the finish line. So we managed to create a beautiful race car with our philosophy and prove that our philosophy is more than just surface styling.
Well, let's walk around a little bit, but one of the places where I noticed that function and form have come together beautifully is in the rear with the diffuser. Let's walk back there.
Sure.
We'll start back here and I guess maybe work our way forward. But it just sort of jumped out to me that there's all this beautiful design and this intricate detail, and yet under here you've got the carbon fiber diffuser.
Right, well, Furai really means this kind of turbulent, furious flow of air. And our whole theory with the Furai was to show how air affects an object and how it gets more turbulent and more affected, and the object becomes more affected as the air moves along it. So the back of the car is really kind of this outrageous, ultra turbulent expression of what the air would do to almost a clean sheet of paper or a ribbon in the wind. The front of the car is a little bit more subdued. It still has this kind of gracious, beautiful lines and movement, and it's all about guiding and directing airflow. But the back here is really the resultant effects of the air streaming off the back of the car. And you know, one of the big aspects about racing is sticking to the track and making sure that at speed you don't fly off the track. So this, you know, carbon fiber diffuser is actually a very functional element. You know, we were in the wind tunnel with Swift Engineering and developed the CFD for the entire car, as well as managing the airflow underneath the car.
And certainly part of managing that airflow is this bold wing. I mean, that makes a pretty strong statement about the raciness.
Right off the track, you know, this wing is proven. The chassis for the Furai comes from the ALMS series, and the actual chassis ran in, a few years back on the entire circuit for the ALMS series. So we know it's a proven chassis, we know the basic aerodynamics work, and what we did is we applied a whole new surface language to all that. The wing is, you know, probably one of the most expressive elements of track worthiness, but you know, we felt it was necessary to keep it real. You know, we wanted to show that this wasn't a kind of a one-off designer dream, that this is really a functional piece, and the wing kind of showcases that. Yeah,
your work with surface is so interesting to me because there's such detail in every inch from nose to tail. But what about material? What are the materials used? And also, what about finish? What were your thoughts in using this finish?
Well, to answer your first question, the form language here is actually describing the airflow pattern as it moves around the cockpit. And we saw this in a lot of the CFD, that these lines are kind of representing how the air moves and is managed over the surface, and we wanted to replicate that. We wanted to kind of stay true to the inspiration. The materials that we're using on the car, for this car, they're carbon fiber and fiberglass. And if we were to go into a real race series with this car, this would all be carbon fiber. But due to different constraints and speed and conceptness, the fiberglass was one of the elements that we used. On the interior, we're looking at using recyclable type materials, recyclable leathers, and I think it's a neat expression of bringing a little bit of kind of eco-friendly ideas into a race type environment. Again, this car was really intended to bridge the gap between the street and the track, and having a cockpit for two really opens up the doors to that experience.
Can we take a look inside?
Yeah,
Would that be possible?
absolutely.
I was kind of curious how the Nagare concept extends to interior design as well.
Well, you can see that it's an inside-out concept, and as much as there's kind of this movement and flow on the exterior of the cars, it also works on the interior. And you can see very much that the textures and the kind of the generous waves and movement of line and surface that appears on the interior. And if this is a little bit foreign to a race car in the sense of having this much design and this much element in there, but it's a very practical, functional environment as well. We've been on the track with this car, we've been at speed, we've done lap after lap after lap in this vehicle, so we know that it's proven. There's no gimmickry in this vehicle, so to speak. Well,
one of the other things I noticed is your use of LED lighting, and that's such an interesting way to accentuate certain lines. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, the LED lighting, and you're starting to see it show up in a lot of production cars, it's a great bright source of light, and what's great for designers is that it's low heat, and it's also a very, very small package, and it has a great output emission of light. So in the front, we use LEDs to kind of create this real sinister eye feeling, and on the side of the car here, you see the indicators for the series class in the ALMS series. The ALMS race series runs 4 different classes of vehicles, and you can tell the difference between all of them based on the lighting characteristic of the 3 lights that are on the side of the car. So
cool.
We wanted to stay true to the series and to the car, and so the 3 blue lights on the side is the legal requirement for being on the track. And then of course the rear LEDs again are for the braking and the rain lights and stuff. Again, it's an awesome way to package a great amount of light into a tiny little space. So you're seeing it showing up in production. It's something that's still on the horizon, but definitely in dealerships really soon.
Obviously, sort of closing out here, but Zoom Zoom is such a huge part of the Mazda brand image. I can't think of anything zoomier than this. Is there the slightest chance anywhere ever, if we all clap our hands, that we could see something even slightly inspired by this?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to think of all the concepts that we've done, this Nagare series of cars, and this is the 5th one of that series. It's kind of the haute couture of our fashion show, and it's number 5 in the series, and our ready-to-wear products are coming soon, but they'll all be inspired by this haute couture look. So yeah, definitely, it may not be exactly this car, but the inspiration and the passion and the spirit that are behind this car, will be available.
Well, it's really satisfying to see a designer and his design team come together with something that is utterly original, and this seems like the ultimate expression of that Nagare theme that you've developed over the last months and years. So I'm really excited to see this here in the flesh. You must be very proud.
Yeah, absolutely, and you said it. It's a teamwork that gets this here, and it's beyond just the design team. We partnered with companies like BP and BP Castrol for clean fuels. This car runs on E100, but that's just the first step. They're looking at bioethanols and non-corn based sustainable fuels that will continue to run on this car. And we don't suffer in any power from that. It's still 450 horsepower, E100 3-rotor engine. The thing screams. And it's those partnerships that have allowed us to still stay on the cutting edge and be environmentally friendly and conscious and efficient. So beyond the design element of getting a bunch of people to come together to create something like this, and of course, who wouldn't want to do that, right?
Yeah,
this is like ultimate designer dream. I'm just sitting here going, wow, I can't believe we did it.
Well, it's very impressive. Franz von Holzhausen, thank you very much for talking to us about it.
Absolutely.
And for more coverage of the New York Auto Show, please keep it right here on Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com.